Thank you for hopping on with us today. Um, I'm sure we'll have a lot more people kind of trickle in as the AMA kind of goes on for the hour. But happy to introduce myself essentially. For those who don't know, I am Hunter, the community manager over here at Arbitrum slash Offchain Labs. And we are joined today by dForce, and specifically Mindao, who is a core contributor over there. Hope everything is good, Mindao.
Yeah, it's great to be here as well to actually hold this AMA with Arbitrum.
Totally, yeah, and just for like some context for some people who don't know, dForce was definitely one of the earlier projects on Arbitrum, and they were actually like, if I remember correctly, like one of the only lending and borrowing ones at the time. So you guys are definitely OGs, you know, on Arbitrum one, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, we started off as a DeFi protocol on Ethereum. Actually, back in 2019. At the time, we did stable coins lending, and Arbitrum is. I think that we are the very first lending protocol going there as probably the first batch on Arbitrum. And also we're now expanding to the other layer two and some of the other side chain like Polygon and the other Binance Smart Chain, etc. Yeah. So I think that dForce. I think I can give a brief intro about dForce, maybe to the broader audience of the Arbitrum ecosystem. We basically, I think dForce is unique in a way that we are doing several protocol verticals. It's not just about lending. I think most of the people probably on Arbitrum know dForce. Simply because we have a lending protocol there, but actually, we also have a native stablecoin, over collateralized stablecoin built on top of the lending, and you can use multiple collaterals to mint USX, which is our US dollar pack stablecoin. And in addition to that, we also have trade aggregators. Basically, we aggregate most of the swaps, for example, on Arbitrum and also on the other chain as well. So you can think of it as a what we're trying to create is a protocol matrix, basically combining lending, stablecoin as well as trading into one. And now I think when we're actually talking about protocol matrix like a year or 2 years ago, right? If even right before, actually, before DeFi summer, I don't think any DeFi protocol doing that. But now it becomes a trend. We already see that Aave is doing their own stablecoin on top of the lending, and Frax is doing lending and swap as well. So I think that we see a trend that DeFi protocols are going really going full speed into vertical integration. So basically trying to combine all the liquidities from lending, from stablecoin as well as swap into one. I think this is also it's also because of the sort of demand for more capital efficiency. So eventually we can do all these different features in one protocol. I think that we can actually achieve maximum capital efficiency. I think that's also one of a huge advantage for layer two like Arbitrum, because Arbitrum can offer a pretty good and very efficient, gas efficient environment for us to build more complicated protocols on top of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting approach that y'all took. That like even thinking about it from like a business perspective, right? At the end of the day, these projects are businesses technically that in a way need to be run, very similarly to just regular businesses. And I feel like that, usually the mindset is to like kind of focus on one product and kind of build that out, so that you're kind of like more or less like the go-to for that specific niche. But instead, it seems you guys kind of from the start said, all right, we're essentially just going to be a suite of different products that we can offer people, and kind of just go from there. Like, what was the thought process choosing between like, just going full out matrix from the very beginning versus just kind of building one product at first and then kind of expanding out later?
Yeah, I think both of this methodology works. It really I think it's really premise on the understanding of the DeFi money Lego, right? Because from a first principle perspective, I think it's all about liquidity. And I think that we look at DeFi 1.0 or subsequent DeFi innovation is all about how to actually improve the capital efficiency and liquidity fragmentation within DeFi. So we actually see, for example, lending protocol actually, we also see a lot of basically evolution of lending protocol over the past 2-3 years, right? From peer-to-peer lending, which is very capital inefficient, to basically the most popular ones, the pool-based like Aave and Compound, and we dForce is also doing, right? So multi-collateral support, multi-party borrowing and lending. So I think that the market is pretty much involved in a way that it definitely put capital efficiency and liquidity aggregation at the core, primitive as one of the core primitive for DeFi. So I think we're being through the whole DeFi summer. I think one of the consequences of DeFi summer is that basically all the DeFi primitives are pretty commoditized now, right? So for example, like lending protocol, when we're talking about lending, we're typically talking about the same kind of pool-based lending protocol. It's very, very commoditized already. So I think if actually you just build a lending protocol without adding anything to it, I don't think it's that easy to actually provide unique sort of services to the user, to the end users. And I think for swap as well, right? We see AMM becomes popular and everyone just copy one AMM, and then it becomes highly commoditized. So at the end of the day, all the competition is on aggregated liquidity. So that's the only thing that I think the end game for DeFi, regardless you're doing lending or swap or you're doing marketplace, at the end of the day is about competing for liquidity. So that's why we see, a lot of the DeFi protocols now actually go into vertically integrated. Either they build themselves or they integrate it with the other protocol to actually achieve that kind of goal. So I think both of these. I think it's very difficult now to actually build a very uniquely vertical protocol and then becomes very popular. It is increasingly difficult now. It's not like 3-4 years ago, where the market is still very early, right? So I think that's one of the sort of trend in the market is that I think we're gonna see a lot of protocols that doing 3 or 4 protocol in one go. Yeah.
I have like so many thoughts to to say about this, but I think it'd probably help more if we actually got into some of these different kind of can we call them matrices technically that are within dForce? Is that what we call these different products? Is it like a cool name or well, I mean yeah, what do you think? I mean, like I think we wanted to start off with like the USX stablecoin essentially, how it works and you know what its
Yeah.
interaction looks like with lending essentially.
Yeah, USX is basically our natively built stablecoin. I think that the model for USX is also quite simple. It is over collateralized decentralized stablecoin, and basically you can we actually combine the model of Vault and also the pool based minting. So we basically combine the two models together. The Vault base is quite similar to like CDP model that pioneered by Maker. Basically, you can use collateral that's supported in a vault to mint USX. I think this the advantage for this model is that is basically can allow us to mitigate the risk of the collateral, right? We actually silo the risk into a single vault, so you can cap the risk exposure of any particular collateral, and you can also put a depth ceiling on that on each of the vault as well. So I think it's very easy to customize a risk exposure catering to different collaterals. So I think that's really the benefit of using a VAL model. So in dForce, we also have a VAL model that you can deposit, for example, yield tokens, into the protocol as collateral. We also support like on Arbitrum, right? We will support the curve pool LP token. for example, USDC and USX pairs, you can use that as collateral and to mint USX, and then use that for leverage. You basically can leverage up to like 8 times, right? So I think it's also a huge improvement on capital efficiency. So I think the VAL base is one of the way that you can mint USX. And in addition to that, we also now support stablecoin to stablecoin minting. Basically, you can use USDC DAI, for example, right, one-to-one mint USX. I think this is also not just for the benefit of minting. It's basically I think the major purpose for that is to maintain a very strong peg of USX against US dollar, because one to one is basically one of the strongest backstop to actually defend the pack, and it worked pretty well. And also it allows USX to move across different chains with almost no slippage. I think that's also one of the benefit of building a fiat-backed stablecoin minting mechanism into that as well. And in addition to that, you can also directly borrow from the lending protocol. So I think that I think is the sort of the most usage for typical users. For example, if you have a USDC on Polygon, right, you can either move that from a bridge from Polygon to Arbitrum, or you can actually deposit into a lending protocol and borrow USX, and then use that to basically bridge over to Arbitrum with no slippage, right? Because we have native minting in each of these chains. So it allows you for bridging without any slippage, and you can bridge any amount you want. And once USX land on Arbitrum, you can either swap them to USDC, or you can actually deposit into a lending portal and borrow USDC out, right? Without So essentially, you can look at it as a cross-chain credit facility, right? And we can do that mainly because we have a multi-chain lending protocol, and also we have a native minting for USX. So essentially, you don't actually need the pool liquidity to bridge your asset across different chains. So I think this is a huge advantage of doing lending with a native stablecoin, in place. I think that's also one of the reasons that I think USX is quite different, comparing with the other stablecoin, where they are probably just a standalone one. Integrated with a lending protocol actually can facilitate very good sort of user experiences cross chain, and allow your liquidity actually flow from one chain to the other in great capacity. Yeah, I think Aave at the end of the day, they come up with the stable coins, right? GHO. I think they ultimately is going to do the thing that we're doing, right? They have a multi-chain lending protocol. They also want to have a stable coin. I think they see the benefit of that, and we've been doing that for a while. And now we're actually trying to expand the scale of the cross-chain liquidity of USX, so people can actually mint it more easily in different decks, and trade it from different stable coins. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting kind of topic to touch on there, because I think a lot of protocols when they first launched, and this was some of them obviously in this case more than a year ago. The thought in mind wasn't to necessarily go cross chain with everything, especially with like native minting and stuff like that. I think it was more so kind of just building on this one chain that I guess you could almost consider like your home, your island in a way, and work with any protocols that exist on that chain as well. But we've almost kind of made these like metaphorical kind of like actually bridges, if you will, right? It's like different islands,
Yeah.
doing different chains, and like somehow kind of adapting that tech to work like almost seamlessly, it seems, on all these different chains. Like, did you guys plan for that, like in the beginning when you first launched, or is that kind of something that you kind of just had to adapt to?
Yeah, actually planned for that from the very first time when they deploy multi-chain, and that's why we actually built a customized Arbitrum bridge, right, for our stablecoin. I think MakerDAO trying to do that, but I think different protocol have different trade-offs in terms of risk and security, right? And allowing for native minting is a huge is very powerful. It's extremely powerful, but I think it's also come with some security trade-offs, right? Because you have to trust essentially you actually treat all the mintings in different chains as equal, right? So if for example, in the event that a weaker chain have some security vulnerability, it could actually penetrate into the whole so that your protocol across different chains. I think that's the some of the risk that you need to be I think we need to be very cautious about, and we know that, right? I think for example, like MakerDAO, they basically what they're doing now is they just mint on mainnet, right? They just mint on Ethereum, and then they bridge the Ethereum asset to different chains. They don't actually allow for native minting now, but I think they are going for that route as well. I think at the end of the day, they probably will allow DAI to be natively mint on Arbitrum or Optimism as well, because I mean this is such a powerful sort of tool that it just removes so much friction, right, in the market. For example, if you don't have a native minting, for anyone to actually bridge their DAI back and forth from different chains, you have to have a liquidity pool, and then there's a huge slippage, in different pools. But actually, for example, at USX, we have a native minting. So if actually you want to migrate a bridge 100 million USX from Arbitrum back to Ethereum, right? There's no 7 day lockup, right? You don't need 7 day withdrawal period, right? You can just do that instantly, and just pay some gas, right? And no slippage at all. So I think it's very powerful. If you actually look at like fear-backed stablecoin, right? When you're trying to move like 100 million USDC or USDT from Arbitrum back to mainnet, right? You have to wait for 7 days, or you have to go to a third-party bridge, and there will be a huge slippage, right? So I think for a stablecoin that have native minting capability, I think is a very powerful tool. But I think, as I said, it definitely come with some of the risk assumptions that each protocol need to review very carefully. But I think this is going to be the trend for all the decentralized stablecoins, particularly for those that have lending protocol built on top of it. I think they definitely need to leverage that tool, and as I discussed, before, I think this is a very powerful for you to facilitate cross-chain credit between different chains, right? So you allow the users to move their credit or move their borrowing capacity from one chain to the other without moving the asset. I think that's a very very sort of powerful derivative, as a feature coming out from this implementation. Yeah.
I totally agree with you there. I think in that case, then 100% makes sense to kind of talk about the latter side of that, which is the lending part of dForce. And I guess more so, what interests me here is, how does it really distinguish itself from, its other competitors, for example, like, Aave and any of the other ones?
Yeah, I think as I discussed earlier, I think we are not just a lending protocol per se. So I think that the features that distinguish us from the other competitor is that, firstly, I think we are multi-chain, right? We're already now in about 6 chains. So I think maybe there's only like Aave can do like this kind of multi-chain lending protocol. I think for Compound, they're now mainly just on yeah, Ethereum, and also I think one of the sort of the most important feature is that we basically integrate not just a stablecoin on top of lending protocol, as I discussed earlier, that we allowed more easy credit and cross chain credit transfer from one chain to the other. Just use the native stablecoin. So essentially, you can move your asset, you can move your borrowing capacity from one chain, for example, Polygon to Arbitrum, or Arbitrum to Optimism, without actually moving the asset, right? Because you can use the cross-chain native stablecoin, and I think this is also paving the way for us to building a sort of cross-chain lending protocol at the end of the day, because you have a shared credit within all your lending protocols across different chains, right? So at the end of the day, it's a lot easier for us to actually just implement a cross-chain borrowing feature on top of that. So I think that's something that we also trying to do as well. So I think this is quite a different kind of feature that if actually just a stablecoin on one particular chain, you cannot do, right? You can't facilitate cross chain or bridging credit if actually just on one chain. So this has to be like multi chain, and of course implementing this will have to also assume a lot of the other sort of risk, particularly and then the cross chain kind of risk. So I think that we need to be quite careful with that. So I think the other feature is that we also integrated our aggregator with a trade aggregator in different channels as well. So essentially, what we're trying to do is that we're not just trying to allow for like cross chain lending. We also can facilitate cross chain trading. For example, you can buy BNB right on Arbitrum, essentially from Binance Smart Chain, right? So you can tap into the liquidity on Binance Smart Chain by using the aggregator. So that's what we're trying to do as a next step, and it all leverage some of the the some of the infrastructures that we're already building, including our stable coins. So I think that's something that I think will be quite interesting. That for from a user perspective, they don't actually realize where the access coming from, liquidity coming from, right? They're probably coming from Binance Smart Chain, and probably some of the liquidity coming from Polygon. And for a user, they don't need to know that, right? They the only thing they care about is where they have the best liquidity, right? The best pricing and the best liquidity, and I think that the DeFi sort of primitive that we're building now basically can facilitate that, not just like cross chain lending, but also cross trading as well. At the end of the day, yeah.
No, I totally hear you on that, and it's definitely a good point. I think that, and honestly, in my opinion, that is really hard to kind of crack in a way where that, like, as time goes on, we want to make things simpler for the end user, but at the same time, you don't want to you don't really want to like completely, how do you say, kind of subvert like any type of notion of which chain they're on, or what security trade-offs they're taking when they have a certain asset, in their wallet, for example. Like, if, like, for me personally, like, I like knowing that any asset that I have is either on Ethereum or Arbitrum. you know uh God forbid one day I'm like using a wallet and I have no idea what chain it's on. Turns out it's on like some random like
Yeah,
newly launched L1. Uh,
yeah.
but I think on that note, I'd love to hear more about your layer two strategies. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, dForce was very early launcher on Arbitrum. So I'd love to hear maybe kind of what your current strategy is now and what it may be kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I think as we said before, I think we started as a Ethereum DeFi, right? So now we're actually going multi-chain, and not just on layer two, but also on Polygon, Binance Smart Chain as well. But I think our strategy on layer two is quite simple. We believe that layer two is definitely the most promising scalability sort of roadmap for Ethereum, right? So essentially, I think that the benefit for layer two is quite straightforward. We just inherit the security, all the infrastructure and security settlement on layer one. So it makes life very easy for us to do cross chain, including asset bridging, and also I think that we can also leverage some of the cross chain layer one, layer two messaging system that already been developed by Arbitrum and Optimism as well, right? So I think that our sort of multi-chain strategy, I think layer two is definitely the top priority. In addition to the other chains, because we believe that layer two is of course the composability now is a problem, right? When we go into multi-chain, as we say, you probably have an asset on one chain, but your liquidity is fragmented across different places. So I think that a layer two, I think, have a better sort of I think you have a better chance to solve the composability issue compared with some of the other exotic chains, or some of the side chains, because at the end of the day, it is the same kind of, all the settlement is on layer one, and eventually we build we have more scalability solutions that build on layer two. At the end of the day, I think the composability issue will be able to be resolved. So I think our strategy on layer two is that we will definitely experiment a different layer two. But I think the decision which layer two we go, and what kind of application we put on different layer two, I think is definitely depends on several factors, right? One is on the I think the most important one is on the throughput, and also the gas, right? The gas fee. For example, like we know that Arbitrum also launched a Nova, which is catering for GameFi and SocialFi. So I think that if you actually build application which requires a very frequent or high throughput TPS, we probably deploy it to Nova. And I think that MakerDAO also decided to deploy there as well. So I think for us, at the end of the day, it's all about what kind of protocol we want to build on what kind of chain, and there was the different factors that actually impact our decision. And I think the most important one is what kind of TPS or gas our users can actually take on. So I think we look at it's quite interesting when we actually decided to actually deploy an Arbitrum is quite a simple reason, right? Because at the time, Ethereum transaction, the gas cost just going through the roof, right? One transaction on Ethereum costs like $50 or $100, right? It's just too expensive. And what we're trying to do in DeFi, as I discussed earlier, is that we're trying to do a lot of vertical integration, features, right? For example, you actually can use our stablecoin to mint USX, and the reserve of that stablecoin is actually deployed into our lending protocol. So basically, your stablecoin reserve itself, right, can serve as a stablecoin reserve and also lending liquidity and also swap liquidity. So it plays like three features, right, in one sort of integration. But if actually you try to use that kind of feature on mainnet, it will be quite expensive. I think during the DeFi summer for this kind of feature, right? One transaction probably costs like $200, right? Or maybe $150 for one transaction. But actually on Arbitrum and the other layer two, it probably costs less than $1, right? So I think that's the I think when we're talking about layer two, I think the most exciting thing is that we can build a lot of protocols that can never happen on layer one, right? So I think that's something that I think the layer two scalability actually brings to the broader EVM ecosystem is that there are a lot of application that we can innovate on top of each other, and then we can compose with one another quite easily on layer two. And we definitely will be looking at a fully EVM compatible layer two. So I think the Arbitrum, the reason we deploy there so early is because is EVM fully compatible, and also community driven. So I think that's also one of the reasons we pick Arbitrum as the first layer two we deploy. And I think going forward for our layer two strategy, I think we definitely prioritize on EVM compatibility. That's the top kind of consideration for us. So even they have a ZK rollup, but if they are not EVM compatible, I don't think that we will prioritize on that because it just requires too much development and also security efforts to make it work. So I think for the next sort of the next step, I think we probably will try it out uh, you know, Nova for our different protocols that we try to go into, for example, into SocialFi or GameFi. Yeah.
No, thank you for that. And it's definitely I think a strategy that we've been working with for a while here, and it's something that is definitely not going to stop anytime soon. Just trying to create this like even playing field for any project to essentially be welcome to launch and pretty much just do successful all on the own merit of their the protocol itself and any other ecosystem collabs that they make. Um,
Yeah.
and honestly, dForce is to me is like a great example, right? Like you guys pretty much came here because, like you said, you wanted more of a community feel, a place to be able to integrate with projects if possible, and of course make sure that when people transact, they're not spending like $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think maybe in that case, like one thing that we're touching on is like, have there been any notable maybe collaborations you've done with the ecosystem since you've launched? And do you guys, if not, have any more coming in the works?
Yeah, we actually been doing several integrations, right? First, because we're stablecoin, and as I discussed earlier, we integrate with Curve Finance, where we have a pool in Curve Finance. We also work with Doodoo. It's mainly for building up the liquidity for USX, and also for Curve Finance, we also building with the Curve LP token as collateral in a vault. So actually, can you leveraging that into yield farming our governance token. So I think that's quite a tight integration. And now we're also working with Saddle Finance. Saddle Finance is also a stablecoin swap multi-chain protocol. We already work on Ethereum. I think they are also expanding to Arbitrum and Optimism as well. They already have a pool setting up on Arbitrum. So actually we're trying to also have some co-incentive liquidity mining on Saddle Finance as well. And the latest collaboration is also with Lufi. Lufi is a VE token liquidity solution provider. It's similar to Convex in with regard to like curve finance, right? So because DF token have a VE token model, so basically you can lock it up into smart contracts, then you can actually gain a better yield if actually lock up longer. But actually, when people lock up the governance token, they immediately cannot exit, right? Because it's in a lockup form. So LoFi basically facilitate a PDF token. Essentially, you can lock up your DF token as a governance token, and then you can also have liquidity through the PDF token, which is a representative for the lockup token certificates. So we are working quite closely with them as well. And I think one unique thing about LoFi is that I think it's the first sort of V token liquidity solution provider that actually allow the layer two, the governance token layer two to actually participate in some of the governance on layer one, because DF token is on layer is actually issued on Ethereum, right? And we want people to actually have a much gas efficient way to participate in the governance. So they basically can lock up their DF token on LoFi in Arbitrum, and then they also can have the benefit of the inflation that actually generate from Ethereum. It's quite a unique way to do a VE token model cross chain. We work with them quite. I think they just launched incentive pool on LoFi as well. And there are also some other collaborations that we're working on, including with some of the DEX and also some of the derivative trading platforms on Arbitrum. But we're still still in the progress. Yeah.
You see, and I think that's a very interesting approach that you guys take, because I think for anyone kind of just like hearing the conversation, it may come off as like, okay, like dForce is just building vertically, they're building everything themselves, so they're not really going to need anyone else. When in reality, it's like you actually almost end up using more. We almost end up doing more collaborations because you have more products to collab with.
Yeah. I think the I think that some of the misconception about vertical integration is that we are not trying to do everything. I think that we selectively just do a few things which we believe is the sort of the DeFi primitive in crypto, right? For example, stablecoin, lending, and swap. I think essentially these three are the core function of all DeFi money Lego. And at the end of the day, all the protocols, right? Eventually they grow bigger. They at the end of the day will become like 3 to 1. For example, MakerDAO, it used to be like a lending protocol, like for ETH lending, ETH leverage, right? And then they become a stable coin. And now they're not just stablecoin; they're also doing provide liquidity for swaps and Uniswap as well. So essentially, they also play a kind of a feature of becoming a swap, in a sense that it provides liquidity for some of the cryptos, access to USDC, right? Because they have a PSM module. So I think at the end of the day, all the DeFi protocols, when they grow bigger, they will become like 3 to 1, and they do everything. But it's not like we don't touch those very sort of I think we won't touch like some very narrow and vertical protocol like yield aggregator or something like that. We just want to build some primitive one. And as you said, of course, we have like several protocols, so we can have a better chance that we can collaborate with some of the others, right? For example, if an asset, you can work with a lending protocol as collateral, or become an asset on the lending pool. And also, if actually a swap, then our stablecoin can provide liquidity and using our protocol liquidity, right? So I think, yeah, definitely, it's much easier to collaborate with some of the other projects, beyond our ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it definitely makes sense. I mean, I think that's one thing that truly like we try to signal to every project that launches on Arbitrum that obviously building out your own product, making sure it's secure, making sure it's safe, and obviously works is top priority. But also, I think just making sure that it's almost like moving into like a new neighborhood in a way. You don't want to just kind of go into your house and just just kind of do your own thing and that's it. Like while you're
Yeah.
there, you want to interact with the
Mhm.
neighbors. You want to kind of collaborate. You want to that's the way essentially in my mind to really just grow your community exponentially and just build network effects and honestly any community, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
yeah, you build vertically, for example, in Arbitrum, and you do really well. Then again, it definitely to me brings up more opportunity to even do better in maybe any other chain.
Yeah, yeah, agree. Yeah, we actually, for example, like even we are doing stablecoins, like Frax is doing stablecoin, but we actually, working with Frax on some of the liquidity pairs, right? We pay against Frax BP pairs on seller finance. I think we're actually helping each other, and I don't think that as a DeFi protocol, we definitely are. It's open, right? So anyone can connect to us, and anyone can actually build on top of our protocol. So I think we're definitely more than happy to collaborate with any protocol. Yeah.
In that case, I think it only makes sense to maybe discuss a little bit about your roadmap. What is dForce's plan? For developing beyond maybe DeFi, maybe even NFTs. Who knows? What do you guys got in the next coming months?
Yeah, I think we actually spend the last 2 years just building some of the most core of the DeFi primitive, lending, stablecoin, and also trading. So I think in addition to these core features, I think there was a lot of interesting extension that we can do. Build on top of this primitive. But I think the next sort of stop that is really interesting to explore is on for example, the NFT space, right? So because NFT is not just it's not just an asset class. It's not just because I mean all the assets we're dealing now for defaults or for DeFi in general is all ERC20 tokens, right? It's fungible tokens. These are basically everything that DeFi summer brought to us is the penetration of ERC20 tokens. No matter we're talking about stablecoin or governance token, it's all ERC20 token. But I think the next wave, we already see some of the trends that is coming up is NFT because NFT I think it more represents the characteristics of consumer finance or consumer economy, right? It's not like I think for the DeFi, all the DeFi money Lego we see over the past 2 years coming out from DeFi summer, essentially we're building a financial open finance infrastructure. It serves as a very fundamental sort of feature for the whole crypto infrastructure. But now we come to a stage where we are building economy, right? Building a consumer economy. For example, GameFi, entertainment, meme token, and NFT. It's not just about different art artifacts or pictures, but I think it's also very important that NFT at the end of the day will become a representation of the native economies we build on the crypto. For example, like GameFi or even the different type of real asset tokenization. I think that will be the next sort of frontier for DeFi. And we as a DeFi protocol, we already build some of the most fundamental DeFi primitive as the underlying infrastructure. What we're trying to do is that we're trying to penetrate into the other asset classes. We see already. We're actually trying to explore that kind of run, and of course, naturally, we're trying to bring liquidity to NFT assets, right? Because I think NFT itself is non fungible, but I think at the end of the day, you still have to find a place for better liquidity and better pricing. And we already see some of the experiments on those fronts. For example, for lending protocols, we already see different model of lending protocol for NFT assets. Even though that I haven't really seen some really sort of validated model. Right. So we have peer to peer, we have peer to pool, but I haven't really see anyone that is really being validated yet. But I think it's a very interesting sort of space that we're trying to explore, and of course NFT swap is also a very interesting, and I think there's a lot of design space in NFT swap. Even though we see the pseudo swap, already using AMA to solve some of the liquidity problem for NFT, but it's not really a general solution. It's more like they're catering to some of the fungible tokens within NFT. So they are not a good place for pricing truly non-fungible tokens. For example, like some of the blue chip tokens. But I think that they find a pretty niche position in terms of providing a liquidity pool for some of the more fungible tokens within the NFT vertical. So I think that we definitely, in terms of the roadmaps, I think we're definitely trying to leveraging our DeFi sort of primitive and penetrating some of the new asset classes. I think those are NFT. I think is definitely the I think now we don't actually see a lot of application building on top of NFT yet, because I think the infrastructure, namely the layer one or the layer two, is not ready yet, right? So we barely see some of the scalability possibility in this cycle. So I would expect the whole sort of NFT or consumer crypto consumer sort of economy going to expand exponentially in the next bull run. And I think that we're definitely trying to build a DeFi infrastructure for those assets as well. Yeah. So I think those are some of the sort of mid to long term roadmap for us. Yeah.
You know, just a comment on that for a second, because it's definitely such an interesting thing, like with the whole pseudo swap scenario on L1 that's going on. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like the biggest kind of blocker for like stuff like that really taking off, and like NFT lending and borrowing, is really kind of just not only taking off but also kind of just like permeating like the market, is the royalty issue, right? I mean, I think that was kind of like the main thing that pseudo swap like they didn't address essentially at all. And I think that, if we do end up building these like protocols that allow like lending, borrowing, et cetera, of like NFTs, that's definitely something that like is going to have to be addressed like one way or another, because
Yeah.
it's a really uh,
Yeah.
divisive thing.
Yeah, but I think that's a quite an easy problem to actually address, right? For example, even now you're using different token standard, you can actually build in the royalty actually as at the protocol level. You can do that, right? But I think the pseudo swap and the royalty issue, I think it's really about the markets, right? Whether you wanna and that's the reason why some of the blue chip NFT token actually hasn't really listed on pseudo swap, because probably they don't want to get rid of the royalty. But I think for some of the more fungible NFT tokens, they actually don't care about that, right? Probably they don't have a royalty that really like the blue chip NFT. So I think they probably will find that SudoSwap is a more sort of efficient way to build up the liquidity for the NFT category. Yeah. But I agree. I think those issues definitely should be addressed, and I think there are already, I think, solution in the market to do that. Yeah.
No, totally agree. Well, no, in that case, I think we're actually coming close to time here. Minda, if there's anything, if there's anyone in the crowd who wants to kind of join the dForce ecosystem, whether it be just kind of using the protocol itself or maybe even be participate in contributing, what would be the best way for them to go ahead and do so?
Yeah, because we are community driven and is totally open source, right? We even open source our own front end. So I think anyone, and of course we definitely welcome anyone to build integration with dForce, because we already see some aggregators on Arbitrum and some of the other blockchain that build their aggregation strategy on a yield farming strategy on top of lending protocol. And also, if actually you try to improve your liquidity, for example, if you actually swap that you try to improve your liquidity there, we also are happy to, as a protocol, to provide liquidity into different swap as well. So I think there's a lot of way that we can collaborate. If actually it's developer is even easier, because we definitely welcome integration, and also if actually trying to build on top of dForce, because we have so many of our protocols that we develop, including stablecoin swaps, trade aggregators. So there are many and many of the Legos that within our ecosystem that that I think the developers can use to build their own products. And we and all of our protocols gone through not just security audits. We actually, for our landing port, we went through like five security audit already. So it's well tested. It's been running for like 2 years. So I think those are something that I think that you can. We already see someone that using our protocol to build some of the other projects. I think that we definitely welcome people to do that. And also, if you're interested in dForce governance, and I think that you can participate in a forum, and also participate in the governance process. And we welcome some of the active governors, right? If actually you are passionate about DeFi governance, you can self select yourself as a governor, and we can the community actually delegate quite a substantial vote to some of the delegates that are passionate about participating in the governance, because we also have a delegation sort of system that all the DF token holders can actually delegate a vote to you, so you can actually help them to participate in the governance process, and we definitely welcome all the community members to do that as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Mindao, thank you so much for coming on today, as well as the audience for showing up. If people did end up joining a little bit after and maybe missed a part of the AMA, this is recorded, so you can just go ahead and replay it as soon as we end it. But yeah, Mindao,
Yeah.
have a great
Okay.
rest of your day, man.
Okay. Thank you, Hunter.